Billy Redhead Burr is one of the greatest and most legendary comedians to ever live, and this past weekend he was on Saturday Night Live immediately after the United States election. There's been a lot of people talking about Bill Burr's monologue on Twitter, saying very positive and also very negative things about it, and today we're going to take a look at a lot of the discourse surrounding Bill's set, and then I will also give my opinion on his monologue, since I know you guys have been asking yourself what the right opinion is here. Maybe it's just my Twitter timeline, but I've seen a lot more negative stuff about this monologue on Twitter than normal. But then again, this doesn't surprise me too much, and it shouldn't surprise you either, because these are the same people that complained about Bill Burr's last SNL monologue and who also bawled their eyes out when Shane Gillis came back and hosted Saturday Night Live. Now, before we even get into the monologue itself, I just want to establish the setting here and how brutal of a crowd this truly is for Bill Burr. The studio audience is located in New York City, and the overwhelming majority of Manhattan and also the Saturday Night Live audience that exists today tends to be either moderately liberal or very liberal. Of course, not all of them are this way, but I'd say the biggest fans tend to lean this way politically. Now, this isn't a political show, and we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of the politics, but I felt it was worthy of pointing out. Also, this is the same week that Orange Man, who to a lot of these people is viewed as literally Hitler, was just reelected in a landslide victory. So the morale in the city and Saturday Night Live's audience is very low, and the comedian that they selected is none other than Billy Blue Balls Burr, who doesn't give a flying shit about morale being low and is going to do his act whether you like it or not. This would be a tough stand-up gig for just about anyone, but Bill Burr having the comedic style he does just really set this up to be a tough night for him and the audience. So my first thoughts when I watched this was that Bill Burr has definitely gotten a lot lighter with his material over the course of his career. But I do not say that demeaningly. I mean, imagine being a single, angry masshole trying to claw your way up the ranks as a comedian in New York City, and then eventually, after decades, you get everything you could possibly want and more. A thriving career, a beautiful family, and more money than you could ever dream of. If this happened to any of us, we would all lose a little bit of our edge as well. Bill has gotten a lot older and has gained perspective. We still occasionally see glimpses of the angry redhead who destroyed Philadelphia in the early 2000s. The first thing Bill talks about is how he got sick with the flu very recently, and the investigations we all do initially trying to figure out who it was that got us sick. Some lady tweeted something about Bill Burr making a racist joke 10 seconds into his monologue, which is an absolute lie, and I won't stand for it. It was actually 60 seconds into his monologue. Bitch, quit lying. Nah, I'm just kidding. But Bill made this joke, and you could tell the audience was very uncomfortable about it. In fact, after he makes the joke, you can audibly hear somebody in the crowd say, "Oh."
Whenever you have the flu, or like COVID, you know, you always lay in bed and you try to figure out who gave it to you. You know, just going through this Rolodex of people that coughed on you, sniffled near you, walked by an Asian or something. You try to fight it. They say on the internet, that's where all the disease comes from.
I could be wrong, but to me that literally sounds like an audience member who is really not expecting the line about Asians, which is what comedy is all about. Sure, it's a racial joke, but if it's funny, who the fuck cares? I exhaled air out of my nose pretty quickly, so it wasn't a belly laugh by any means, but I did find a little bit of humor in this joke. If you didn't think it was funny, make sure to call me gay in the comments down below. Anyway, the rest of the audience was noticeably uncomfortable after this as well, which was unfortunate because Bill shortly after this segues into a pretty funny bit about sitting next to a shoeless cowboy and how God made that guy, and I felt this bit deserved a little bit more respect than it got from the audience.
I know who gave it to me. I sat next to a shoeless cowboy on an airplane. Guy had no socks or shoes on the whole flight. The whole flight, I'm sitting there looking at his dirty Jesus feet, and all I'm thinking is the next pandemic is growing in the bottom of his feet. And all I'm going to be is the next, patient number 2, whatever the next disease is, you know? So
then Bill proceeds to talk about vaccines, and this is a very quiet moment from the audience, and you can tell that there is a lot of tension in the room. Then Bill addresses the elephant in the room and talks about the election, and immediately makes a great joke about women politicians being 0-2 against Donald Trump. And he even encourages them to wear skimpier outfits to win some votes.
all right, let's get to what you all want to talk about. All right, ladies, you're 0-2 against this guy. 0-2. You got to whore it up a little. I'm not saying go full Hooters, but find the happy medium between Applebee's and your dad didn't stick around. All right, you all know how to get a free drink. And I know, listen, I know a lot of ugly women, feminists, don't want to hear this message. But just tease them a little bit.
I thought this bit was pretty funny, and one joke from this chunk definitely ruffled a few feathers online, which was the joke about ugly women/feminists. This one got some backlash on Twitter from women who thought it was highly offensive and that Saturday Night Live, quote, needs to do better, end quote. Based on the fact that Lorne Michaels, in my opinion, usually makes a sincere attempt at being on the side of comedy most of the time, I highly doubt he sees any problem with this because he and most rational people know that Bill is simply just poking fun. I mean, for Pete's sake, his wife is a fucking feminist. In fact, most people make fun of him for getting soft and saying how his wife probably wears the pants in their relationship. It's wild to see people react this way to one joke about the ladies from Bill. I mean, that's vintage Bill Burr. If you've been a fan of the dude for any length of time, you would know he makes a lot of jokes about women and relationships, even as a married man himself. He's done that since way before he was even married to Nia. Even now, when he's definitely gotten a lot more mature, he still makes jokes in this realm quite often. This isn't a surprise to anyone who is a fan of Billy Blowtorch Burr. Anyway, more on the backlash later. Bill continues making jokes about the presidential candidates, the process of elections in America, and how he's very happy that it's all just finally over. He makes some jokes about Trump's movements hindering the ability for someone to shoot him, and I actually really enjoyed this bit as well. I thought it was super funny, and it reminded me a lot of Shane Gillis's bit about how Trump would react if he was shot at. Then Bill ended his set with my favorite bit of the night, talking about Shaq and the endless amounts of commercials he does. I really enjoyed Bill's description of Shaq's commercials along with his impression because of how absurd he makes it out to be. And then this bit was how the monologue concluded. All in all, I thought the set from Bill was pretty damn good. Now, I do think his monologue from the last time he was on Saturday Night Live was much better than this one, but I still think pretty highly of this set also. Now, I've seen quite a bit of people talking about how Bill's monologue sucked, and I respectfully disagree with that. Like, this person on Twitter said that Bill Burr failed to read the room and that's why he bombed, and I actually don't think that this is even remotely true at all, and I'll tell you why. I believe that Bill Burr knew exactly what audience he was performing for and just proceeded to do his act anyway, which to me is awesome. I made a video about this phenomenon as a comedian where you do your act, and if the audience doesn't like it, you have the option of either pivoting or continuing to do the act your way no matter what. Patrice O'Neal talked about this philosophy, and many other comedians before and after him have practiced it as well, such as Rodney Dangerfield and Anthony Jeselnik. I think Patrice would have been proud of Bill just soldiering through his act, even at the parts where the audience was noticeably more tense than they really should have been. I mean, not every audience is going to be your audience, even if you're one of the greatest comedians of all time. I really thought Bill's monologue was good, but the timing and the audience was just not right for him in this particular instance, which made the set seem a lot rougher than it was. A lot of people on Twitter are saying this was one of the worst monologues they've ever seen on SNL, but then I found a lot of people also praising Bill and saying it was great. So of course the reception is split, but ultimately I walked away from the monologue really liking it and understanding that if Bill had done this exact same set list at the Comedy Cellar or the Stand in New York City, he would have fucking crushed and the audience in those venues would have been eating out of the palm of his hand. But no audience is the exact same in comedy, and that's what makes it interesting. But anyway, what do you guys think? Have you seen Bill Burr's new monologue on Saturday Night Live yet? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or did you just think that it was okay? Do you think Bill has lost his edge edge in his funniness, or do you think that this was just one of the rougher sets for him given the timing and the audience? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Before I end the video, I just want to quickly bring your attention once again to my second YouTube channel. If you think I'm a cool guy and you want to get to know me better and see a more personal side of me, make sure to check out my second channel titled Nate Roscoe RLP to see me talk about real issues in a comedic way. I'd love to see some of you guys in the comments on some of those videos as well. And of course, your insights and opinions are always greatly appreciated. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching the video to the end, leaving a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribing if you're new to the channel. That's all I got for you guys today. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.